Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another recruiting throwback video. This time, giving you guys my list of my top 10 all-time college basketball recruiting busts. I try and keep these lists as modern as possible, so most of these guys are going to be from like the 2010s era, and it is just my personal top 10 list. There are clearly other busts, but I just thought these guys would be some fun ones to look over. So we start the countdown with number 10. It's going to be Trevon Duval, the point guard, the five-star point guard that ended up going to Duke University. 6 overall player, number 2 point guard, the class of 2017. This guy was supposed to be basically Russell Westbrook 2.0, and you can take a look, 37 games at Duke. It's very interesting. A lot of these guys that ended up being busts, these 5-star recruits, were still one and dones. It's like they still thought, they had amazing ability when it comes to the NBA. So Trevon Duval, 10 points per game at Duke, did average 5.5 assists with 2 rebounds. This guy could not shoot. It's so unfortunate. You take a look at his overall three-point shooting, 29% for a point guard in college, with the three-point line being closer. That's not going to get it done. Overall in the NBA, he's appeared in 3 games, 1.5 points. I think he's gotten 1 rebound in his career. And then also looks like 0.7 assists. He played with the Milwaukee Bucks as an undrafted free agent in 2018. He went to their G League team. I'm not sure who any of those teams are. Rio Grande, Iowa, Hamilton, and now he's on Grand Rapids. I believe that is also a G League team, and hey, he's a G League champion. You love to see that, but Trevon Duval never developed a jump shot. If you're a point guard in college, in high school, you need to make sure you can shoot a little, no matter how athletic you are. We saw it even with, this kid was supposed to be Russell Westbrook. We saw it with Russell Westbrook this year. The dude simply can't shoot. He could still go grab 7 or 8 rebounds, get 7 or 8 assists, but if you can't shoot and you're a point guard in the modern NBA, you are a significant problem for your team. And that's why this kid ended up busting out, the number 6 overall player. He's a one and done, and then he gets undrafted. It's unfortunate, guys. He comes in at number 10. Moving on to number 9. It's actually 2 guys, Aaron and Andrew Harrison, the Harrison twins. These guys are identical. They both commit to the University of Kentucky, class of 2013. Andrew was ranked 5th overall. Aaron was ranked 6th overall. So these guys, when you're ranked that high, you're expected to be lottery players. Andrew was a point guard. Aaron was a shooting guard. Both of the brothers spent 2 years at Kentucky. They both ended up playing exactly 79 games at Kentucky, and it's hard to tell these dudes apart. They had such similar stat lines in college. Andrew, 79 games, 10 points, 2.5 rebounds, 4 assists. Aaron, 79 games, 12.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and I believe one of them did get drafted. Was it Aaron? See, the thing is, one of them goes undrafted, signs with the Charlotte Hornets, plays with them for a little bit. The other ends up getting drafted in the 2nd round at number 44 overall. Andrew, I believe, was the one that actually got drafted. Yeah, Andrew's played at 145 games, surprisingly, in the NBA, averaging 7 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. This brother duo, complete busts. When you're talking about the number 5 overall player, the number 6 overall player, one of them goes undrafted, one of them gets picked late in the 2nd round and has a career average in the NBA of 7 points. As for why these guys were busts, I just think it comes down to maybe just not being athletic enough for the NBA. That's really what it comes down to with those 2 guys. They just never struck me as very athletic, and it's not like they were these knockdown 3-point assassins to make up for their unathleticism. So they come in at number 9 on my list of all-time recruiting busts. Moving to number 8, it's a pretty modern player from the 2019 class, Vernon Carey. And there's a fun fact about this kid. This kid originally, early on in the recruiting process, was actually ranked number 1 overall for like a 7 or 8 month stretch. He ended up dropping down to number 6. He committed to Duke. And he ended up being the number 6 overall player. But the first thing, it's a real big issue. You look at his profile, Vernon Carey, 6'10", and he's listed as a center. It's just undersized. It's just too undersized to be a center. At Duke, he actually put up pretty good numbers, 31 games, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, but I think just NBA GMs were not appealed by his lack of overall size. He ends up going in the second round with the number 32 overall pick as kind of a high upside project type player selected by the Charlotte Hornets. He plays for the Charlotte Hornets for 2 years along with their G League team, the Greensboro Swarm. And then he goes to the Washington Wizards and he's currently on the G League team, the Capital City Go-Go. Who knows? These names are very interesting. So Vernon Carey overall, I just think in simplest terms, undersized center. He did have some athleticism to him, but there's really just nothing. And again, it is weird because he did have success in college. If you're thinking about a top 5 overall recruit in college, you average 18-8 as an 18-year-old true freshman. That's impressive, but it just doesn't translate to the modern NBA. He's 6'10". Is he a center? Is he a power forward? I think he'd be better off being a power forward in the NBA, and maybe he still can have an NBA career. We don't want to write him off yet. But it's looking bad for Vernon Carey. Remember, at one point, he was the number 1 overall player, and people thought he was going to go to Miami. He ends up committing to Duke, and he ends up the number 6 overall player. He comes in at number 8. We're on to number 7. Very similar player here. It's a big boy, and it is Diamond Stone. What an amazing porn star name that would be, by the way. Diamond Stone for a woman. But yeah, Diamond Stone, the number 6 overall player in the 2015 class. He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He doesn't go to Wisconsin. He actually commits to Maryland, and he spends 2 years at Maryland. This is another kid listed as a center, a little bit more unathletic than Vernon Carey, but just another guy. He's an undersized center. You're 6'10". You're a big boy. You weigh 246 as a true freshman in college. He was actually drafted in the second round with the 40th overall pick by the Pelicans. I guess he got traded to the Clippers where he played, and he currently has 7 career games in the NBA. He's averaging 1.4 points. The last time he played in the NBA was 2017, and unfortunately for Diamond, he doesn't have a single assist. Let's get him an assist at least. Come on. He's averaging 0.9 rebounds as well. And you can take a look at his career playing with the G League Warriors, the G League Utah Jazz team, and now he's on the Taiwan Hero Bears. So is he in Taiwan right now? Oh my goodness, he needs to get out of there. When China takes over Taiwan, you don't want to be in. You don't want to be there when China takes over. But guys, Diamond Stone, really just unathletic and undersized, and those are 2 real deterrents. This was supposed to be a franchise type, Al Jefferson type center. Sometimes it doesn't work out. The number 6 overall player plays 7 career games in the NBA and doesn't record a single assist. It's so unfortunate. And by the way, when I searched up Diamond Stone on Google, this is what I was met with. It's disrespectful, guys. Come on. This was a former 5-star recruit. When I searched this kid up, he should be showing up. It's unfortunate. But Diamond Stone comes in at number 7 on my list. Moving up to number 6, it is a point guard from the class of 2010, Josh Selby, the number 3 overall player from Baltimore, Maryland, commits to the University of Kansas, expected to be the next big thing. I think he was in the class with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was ranked 2nd. He was ranked 3rd. Who's the top point guard? Well, this kid, oh my goodness, he plays with the Memphis Grizzlies. So this is another kid, he's a one and done, where he plays 1 year at Kansas, and his numbers were atrocious. He shot 37% from the field, and at Kansas in 26 games, he averaged 8 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. But he said, screw it, I'm done. I'm a true freshman. I'm a McDonald's All-American. I'm the number 3 player in the nation. I'm going to the draft, where I believe he was drafted in the 2nd round. And you can just take a look at all the teams he's played. Who's the team he's currently on? Panetta? I'm not even gonna pronounce that. I think he's somewhere maybe in Russia. Oh no. I don't know where that is, guys. I'm just throwing things out there, but it's an unfortunate career for the former number 3 overall recruit. Horrible year at Kansas, but still, he's a one and done, and he plays a few games in the NBA, but doesn't do much. He comes in at number 6 on my list of all-time recruiting busts. We are on to number 5, and we're going to the class of 2008, and the number 2 overall player, B.J. Mullens, the massive center, 7'1" center from the state of Ohio. He commits to Ohio State. B.J. Mullens at Ohio State just starts 2 games. The former number 2 overall recruit in the nation starts 2 games at Ohio State. 33 total games, 9 points, 5 rebounds, and I think he had like 3 career assists. I'm kidding, but he barely averaged any assists. And then he's kind of been a journeyman NBA player playing with the Thunder, the Charlotte Hornets. At least he's been able to stick around and start 66 games. But the one interesting thing I found with this kid is 7'1", and in his NBA career, he shot 40% from the field. I don't know how that's possible. You're a center. Make some dunks. You should be at least shooting 50%, you would think. Although he was kind of a guy that could move back and shoot. This was supposed to be the next big thing. A 7'1" big man who could shoot, a better version of Spencer Hawes. It just didn't translate for him. He's the number 2 overall player. And he has had quite the career. Looks like playing over in Dubai. Maybe China looks like as well. These guys go to some sketchy third world countries. They got to be careful. But he comes in at number 5 on the list. Moving to the top 4. These guys are all more modern. Coming in at number 4 is Harry Giles, who ended up going to Duke University. The number 2 overall player in the country. The number 1 power forward. This kid was just never healthy, straight up. To this day, I don't think he's healthy. I do not think we have seen this kid 100% healthy since high school, maybe. And it's unfortunate. At Duke, he was hampered by injuries. 26 games, 4 points per game, 4 rebounds per game. He was selected. Another kid that was a one and done, even though you're averaging 4 points, he's still a one and done. And he was actually drafted 20th overall based on upside by the Sacramento Kings. He played with the Kings for a year. Also has been on the Portland Trail Blazers. I believe he is still on a G League team. But Harry Giles, a kid, 142 career NBA games, 6 points, 4 rebounds, and an assist. And I just saw this recent article. It says the Kings are effectively bailing on the Harry Giles project. End of an era. R.I.P. R.I.P. It just never seemed like he was healthy at Duke, and he kind of took that into the NBA. It doesn't seem like this kid was really given a chance, or he never could live up to his potential because of his injuries. This is a number 2 overall player in the entire country. You're expecting this kid to be a top pick, and it just doesn't happen. And this is actually a really interesting article I found. So I went back and I looked up like initial mock drafts, for 2016 or whenever this kid was going to come out, just to see how hyped up he was. It says Duke's latest one and done phenom is number 1 in the way too early 2017 NFL mock draft. And this mock draft has him going number 1 overall to the Brooklyn Nets. to the Brooklyn Nets, and it says Giles is the clear #1 overall prospect on this board. If it weren't for knee injuries, we'd be discussing him the same way we talked about Anthony Davis entering college. So this kid had a ton of hype, and this was another kid that was actually the #1 overall player. He got bumped down to #2 overall. I believe Josh Jackson, who committed to Kansas, ended up being the #1 overall player. But this kid, the injuries, man, it just never felt like he could perform to his potential. He comes in at #4 overall on this list. We're on to the top 3, and we're on to a guy from the 2018 class, the #3 overall player, Nassir Little, who is a big, small forward from the state of Florida, commits to North Carolina. This kid had a ton of hype, and again, it's just a situation, it just doesn't click. This dude had a crazy build as a true freshman. He was a grown man. And you can see he ends up being a one and done, even though he struggles, his freshman year at North Carolina. I think a lot of these top recruits, like top 2 or 3 overall recruits, no matter how bad their true freshman seasons go at the college, they're always just going to be a one and done. And they mostly all are going to get drafted at least in the mid-20s just due to their upside and their overall potential. The potential these kids have. So in 2019, he was taken with the 25th overall pick, the Portland Trail Blazers, and he still is on the Portland Trail Blazers. He's actually started some games this year. I think, some of that was due to the Portland Trail Blazers actively trying to lose to get better lottery odds, so they started him. Nothing against this kid. This kid still has a chance in the NBA. He does. He has a chance. He started 23 games this past year. But overall in his career, he's averaging 6 points, 3.5 rebounds. And this is a kid, he's ranked really high. He's got a great overall build for a small forward. You can see he's got an NBA body. The shooting, shoot with these small forwards, these big guys. If you can't shoot, if you're not physical enough, and your ball handling is a little lacking, you become a bust. And unfortunately, that's what happened for this kid. Look at this. I saw this on Google. People also asked, is Nassir Little hurt? Why is Nassir Little out? What happened to Nassir Little? Why is Nassir Little not playing? Yikes. Those are some tough questions overall. And his career at North Carolina, he ended up averaging 10 points and 5 assists. I mean, listen, you'd expect more. You would really expect more from a kid like that. But it is what it is. Moving on to the #2 overall bust of all time when it comes to... This kid could have been #1, but #1 is just too perfect. He is going to settle for #2. It is Cliff Alexander, who was the #4 overall player from the class of 2014. You're probably wondering, this kid's a bust, but it's not like he's the #2 or #3 overall player. Why is he on this list? He's he literally could not play in the NBA. He's just not good enough. This kid's career, he did play with Portland Trail Blazers, but it's not like this kid was a late first, early second round pick. He was undrafted, and he was a one and done that went undrafted. The rarity. You're a one and done, but you go undrafted. He plays with the Portland Trail Blazers, and his career in the NBA, unfortunately, 8 total games in the NBA, averaging 1.3 points. And unfortunately, Cliff, unlike Cliff Paul from the State Farm commercials, we know how many assists he has. Cliff Alexander had 0 career assists in the NBA. It's real sad. He just does not have the body for the NBA. This is a 6'9" power forward. He's big, but he really can't shoot. He's not very athletic. It was very apparent early on at the University of Kansas that this kid... that's one of the things I was thinking about. When do the coach... You get a 5-star kid, a top 3 player... When do you realize as a head coach, you're like, oh wait, this kid's just not good? Because that happens, and I'm sure it happened with this kid with Kansas. You're the coach of Kansas, and you're expecting, a top 5 overall player to progress, and it's at some point, you got to realize and draw a line in the sand and just think, oh wait, this kid just sucks. Like this kid, like he's gonna go undrafted. Like he's just a bust. It happens. That, you know, recruiting is not a perfect science. And you can take a look. I screenshotted his career earnings, man. The number 4 overall player, total career earnings of $600K. That's before taxes. Oh no, that's before. He's probably only got about $400K of that. Hopefully he's still got that in his bank. We don't know though. And then also I saw former Trailblazers player Cliff Alexander charged with a gun felony. So hopefully he gets that taken care of. It is what it is. It's an unfortunate story. He's the number 2 overall biggest bust, but there can only be one. All right, and when it comes to my number 1 overall biggest college bust, it is a big man from the class of 2015, Skal Labissiere, who is a center, 6'10", 200, very lengthy. This kid was originally born in Haiti, and he is the number 2 overall player technically, but if you actually look at his overall rating, .9998. So that is extremely high for the number 2 overall player. He actually tied with Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons was rated as the number 1 player. He very easily could have been the number 1 overall player. I'm just going to show this guy was thought of as a potential number 1 overall pick, and I actually went back to a mock draft. It says 2016 NBA mock draft, Ben Simmons, Skal Labissiere lead the pack of elite talents. The Kentucky center and LSU forward project as the top players in 2016, and wouldn't you know it, on their first big board, they had Skal as the number 1 overall player. That's how good this kid was supposed to be. And to me, this kid just defines exactly what a bust is. He's lengthy, he's tall, he's athletic, but it just, for whatever reason, it just didn't translate. Like, he is just the true definition. Like, he's got everything. He's big, athletic, he can shoot, he's mobile, he's a shot blocker. It just didn't translate at Kentucky, and they gave him starts. He played in 36 games at Kentucky. He started 18 of them. You know, his overall numbers at Kentucky within 18 starts, 3 rebounds per game for a lengthy center that's 6'10". Oh no, he was 6'11". It says he was 6'11". I thought, yeah, he was taller than 6'10". He was really 6'11", and he had a massively long wingspan. That's the other thing with Skal. So 6 points, 3 rebounds, 0 assists, and he was actually the number 1 overall player on ESPN on their, you know, their own rankings. So he was, or Rivals, that's Rivals, yeah. So he was the number 1 overall player on Rivals, the number 2 overall player on ESPN, the number 2 overall player on 247. He was thought of as extremely highly, and I just had to. You could probably say Cliff Alexander was undrafted. He only played 8 games in the NBA. Skal at least played some in the NBA, but just when it comes to extremes, like the kid, he had everything. He is the, you know, at minimum, you would expect him to, you know, be a top 10 pick in the draft, at least average, you know, 7 or 8 rebounds. With his big body, he can at least alter, block 3 or 4 shots. Sometimes, for whatever reason, that's like the best definition of these recruiting busts. They just don't translate. And they started this kid. He got 18 starts. It just didn't work out. That is why he is number 1 overall on my list for biggest recruiting busts of all time. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.